We're moving on to the Detroit Pistons. We're talking about the brightness for them because they have a bright future. We're talking about some of the best young players in our league, including, including Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham recently had a triple-double the other night, 28 points to go with it, and he is dominating, looking out there like he could be a potential rookie of the year, but the media has already decided we got to give it to Evan Mobley. And when they latch onto their guy, they don't want to let go of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to change the media's mind. I think Cade is certainly top three, him, Scotty, and Mobley for rookie of the year right now. My guy Franz is in fourth. But Cade, he arrived. He struggled hard. We talked about that. He came around. We said we weren't worried. Now here he is. We're not surprised. He's playing great. We knew he would because we've said it one time. We'll say it a million times. He was drafted because he's one of the best players who can improve and learn from what he does. And the role he's given, he's doing super well. I mean, they're telling this rookie to run the offense. This is your team. Do what you needed. Usually guys would melt. He's averaging 17, 5, and 5 for the whole year. I think he's doing great, and I'm so excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, no doubt. He's the truth.
Yeah, and also one of the rarest things for small markets, I feel your pain, Alec feels your pain, is stars don't want to stay in small markets. So it's really refreshing to hear Jeremy Grant be like, no, I want to stay. I want to stay with the Pistons, the hopeless Pistons, People
it must be nice for him to see a guy like Cade come in. He's like, oh, you know what? We're not that far off. Because when you get a guy that good, you don't need that much more because he's going to accelerate the rest of the guys around him. He's going to get so much better himself. And they have other good players around them too. Like Sadiq Bey is a great shooter. He's a solid defender. Great frame for the NBA. So, he just needs to stay in front of guys and not foul as much. But they've got a hustler in Isaiah Stewart as well. I'm not as high on him as some other people are, but his stats, I think, are just a bit weak this year. So, hopefully he can turn it around.
Yeah. That was one thing I noted is looking at that roster. Yes, Sadiq Bey, you said it. He's going to be a great 3-and-D shooter on this team. Jeremy Grant obviously can be a good third or fourth option for a championship team. Marvin Bagley has even come in. I said he needed to change. He's not going to ever live up to be who he's supposed to or even what they drafted him at. But he's turning and looking like a nice offensive player with them. Certainly really, really great to see. But back on Frank Jackson, effort player. But Frank Jackson is always good to see on a team. He's with the Magic for New Orleans for a while.
He was on the Kings last year, right?
Kings last year. Yeah, he's just an effort player. This guy's gonna earn his money no matter what. And
those fringe guys, like, they always work hard for their lunch, right? Like, you're gonna get a good effort out of him on defense, and I'll take that over a guy who's been, padded his whole life and is like, I'm not gonna do defense.
Yeah, I get that. That's certainly valuable, but. Isaiah Stewart. So let me get back to him. I was looking at that. I'm like, that's where they have to, like, they need not a dominant center, but they need a big that's just better, that doesn't get into foul trouble. Isaiah Stewart can be a good rebounder, can be a good offensive rebounder, but it's just inconsistency from night to night, and the role they're asking him to fit, he just can't do that. So I'd like to see them get I think Chet would be obviously great on this team. Victor Wembanyama in 2 years, maybe. But what do you do? Killian Hayes has probably lost his roster spot, right? Maybe not his spot, but his role in the starting.
I think it's just at this point, like, Piston fans, they've all admitted, the smart ones at least have admitted, that he's not gonna be anything more than a role player. Right. And for that, he's just drafted too high, and he's never going to be good enough to be a starter.
No, not on a championship team.
No way. Never on a championship team. The only guys on this team that could be starters on a championship team, Cade Cunningham, obviously. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Grant, sure. You
Yeah,
know,
I'd
is like
say
the fourth
he's
or
close.
fifth best guy, maybe the third best, if you've got really good 1 and 2. And
Yeah,
then Sadiq Bey, sure, why not, is the fourth or fifth, but I think similar deal.
yeah, yeah. Very similar deal. Obviously, I think you're right. And those three could be, but that's assuming you have like one other superstar and maybe a star center, superstar
Exactly.
and shooting guard, and that which is not disbelievable. It's not totally impossible. I mean, you can look at what the Grizzlies did with just a really good star and a bunch of guys who fit well next to him. I
They
think,
just got like
yeah,
really, they've drafted really well, the Grizzlies have lately. Like,
mhm,
Jaren Jackson, like, I mean, he was the fourth overall pick. That's the top pick, next to John Morant, the number 2 overall pick. So that's their 2 guys right there. After that, I mean, they drafted really well, getting Desmond Bain. They
Dylan
trade
Brooks.
up this year to get Zaire Williams, but 10th overall pick, still 10th, or top 10. But otherwise, yeah, they traded for Steven Adams. But yeah, I mean, they really just have the 2 guys, and after that, they've nailed their picks. So the Pistons could do the same thing. They get a really good guy in this next draft because they're going to have a high pick. Then maybe they're too good next year to get a high pick. Just maybe Cade just is like phenomenal next year. Whoever they draft is phenomenal too, maybe. And then they just have, they just don't get a very high pick.
Yeah,
Then they have to rely more on their scouting department, and they have to make sure that they nail the pick. It's harder
yeah.
to do.
I mean, that's really where the hardest part of the rebuild, right? When you start getting better, being better because you have your 2 guys. Like look at what happened with the Trailblazers. What's happening with the Grizzlies did it right. I'm trying to look at the Kings. So like once you start getting better, and you need to draft those middle guys better, those late lottery, those early in the teens. You need to draft those guys well, and that's what the Grizzlies did. They pulled out Dylan Brooks. They pulled out Bain. They pulled out who's that guy they just drafted this year? No, not this year. Last year. Not last year. Anyway, there's another guy that's just slipping my mind. You need to hit those mid draft picks. If you don't, then you're just wasting. And it's just a waste of roster spot that you could have, or like have assets to trade to get a star.
Yeah,
And
no doubt. The next thing, they need to just get that second guy. And, it's easier said than done. Like, there are teams out there that are still searching for the second guy. Like the Dallas Mavericks have been searching for a long time. The New Orleans Pelicans, they had been searching, but I would argue they have that with Brandon Ingram. But a lot, the Kings, they feel they just found their second guy.
Exactly. But
it's tough.
A lot of
hope
to
find that second guy.
Yeah, even though they're only 18-48, I always say development is great to see when you're losing, and they're seeing a lot of development. They're still exciting. There's still a reason to watch these games. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about. Another 2-3 years, they'll be on I think they can be in the same trajectory as the Grizzlies or the Cavaliers.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll see, where they're at. Like you're seeing like the prototypical like paper blueprint rebuild in Cleveland right now. Like you could follow that. That'd be great too. It's just about finding talent. You never know where that position is going to be. Since we're in the NBA, we have the draft lottery. So you ultimately don't know where your pick's going to be till draft lottery night. And in that case, just hoping that you get the right luck on your side.
Right.
I get, a couple of ping pong balls decided that the Grizzlies were going to be a phenomenal team going forward. That's just how it goes. Yeah. And the Pistons, they finally got the first overall pick for the first time in their franchise's history to get Cade Cunningham. A great year to do it.
Yep.
So we'll see what they can do. Maybe luck's on their side 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Hopefully. I hope so.
Yeah.
Hey guys, be sure to like and subscribe this video if you loved it, and give us a hateful comment if you did not like it, since they got rid of the dislike feature on YouTube.